21st century Seoul, South Korea. There was a time when the world was completely normal. People lived their everyday lives, office, school, markets. Everything was simple and peaceful. Even now, I remember that time clearly. Back then, no one could even imagine that one day everything would change in a single second. And then one day, right in the middle of Seoul, an eerie gate suddenly opened. A black space like the sky itself had torn apart. Later, we learned what it was called: a dungeon. And the moment that dungeon opened, an endless flood of monsters poured out. People started screaming. The roads turned into chaos, panic spread everywhere. And within moments, the entire city drowned in fear. That day, mankind finally understood we were no longer safe. The world had fallen into a nightmare, a place where only death and terror existed. But where there is despair sometimes, hope is born too. And that hope was called hunters. Some people suddenly awakened. Supernatural powers appeared inside them, and they stood against the monsters. Hunters began defeating them, and whenever a monster died, its body would leave behind special resources, magic stones, rare herbs, unknown materials, and slowly those resources became the biggest pillar of the world's economy. Life began improving again. The world started moving forward again. And that's how it began, the era of hunters. But even in this hunter world, I was a different kind of person. I stood outside the Hunter Association office, holding my application form. People standing in the line kept staring at me, as if I didn't belong there at all. The receptionist looked at my form, and for a second her expression froze. Then she looked up at me and said, "Mr. Jiha Yu, your class is worker." Her voice carried shock, as if she had never seen something like that before. Then she asked, "Did you awaken any special ability, any trait?" I simply gave her a calm smile and replied, "No. I have nothing." That moment I understood something clearly. In the hunter world, worker class meant only one thing: weak. Sometime later, I visited a hunter store in Seoul Area 7. I needed potions, basic ones, because that was all I could afford. The shop owner welcomed me normally. I walked up to the counter and said, "I need some potions." That's when I noticed a few hunters standing nearby. And one girl, the moment she saw me, said, "Oh, it's that guy." She pointed at me directly. "You're the one who awakened as worker class, right?" Feeling awkward, I answered, "Yes, that's me." She laughed, then bluntly asked, "Be honest, you don't have a single skill, do you? Then how do you even hunt?" Her words weren't curiosity, they were mockery. A guy standing beside her immediately spoke, "Stop it, leave him alone." The girl didn't stop, just asking. I replied in a quiet voice, "It's fine. She's not wrong." Then I said the truth. "I don't have any special skill. I don't fight monsters directly. I just follow behind hunters, and after they defeat the monsters, collect the leftover resources." For a second the air went silent, then one hunter simply said, "Oh, I see." Inside that silence there was something else: pity. Suddenly a loud noise came from outside. Heavy vehicles, armored trucks and ambulances rushed past at full speed. One hunter said, "Looks like a Category 3 dungeon has spawned somewhere." Hunter's eyes lit up. Category 3. I wish I could raid something like that. His friend instantly replied, "Are you insane? We're not strong enough for that." Girl rolled her eyes. "Your attitude is seriously irritating." I listened to them quietly, but inside my mind only one thought kept repeating: Category 3 dungeon, the amount of resources there would be insane. I walked out of the store after buying my potions, and I whispered to myself, how much could I collect from there? Then I let out a tired sigh. But who would even take me? I'm just a worker. Had been 5 years since I awakened. And when I awakened, the class I received was worker class. It sounded unique, but in reality it was a curse. Because I had no skill, no trait, no fighting ability. Anyone could tell just by looking at my status window. I wasn't even qualified to be a hunter. I could never dream of fighting monsters like other hunters, so I made a decision. I would join the scavenger unit. Hunters would raid. Guild members would defeat monsters. And whatever resources they ignored and left behind, I would collect them, sell them, and somehow survive. I never received recognition. No one ever respected me. But yes, I was still alive. And I had only one hobby: reading ancient books, old texts, forgotten languages. Those were the only things that truly interested me. One night I was in my room reading an old book. It was difficult, too difficult. My eyes grew heavy. I muttered, "Maybe this book is beyond my level." And suddenly I felt extremely sleepy. While staring at the book, I almost lost consciousness, And then, when I opened my eyes, I wasn't in my room anymore. I was standing inside a forest. I rubbed my eyes and whispered, "How did I get here?" I pinched my arm, it hurt. And that's when I realized this wasn't a dream. I told myself, this could be a hallucination, so I should check my status window first. I opened my status, and the moment I saw it, my body froze. My stamina, which was normally low, had jumped from 7 to 77 strength, and agility had increased too. And then poison resistance, 80. I stood there in shock. Did my stats suddenly increase? Then I looked around, and the forest felt even stranger. It was completely silent. No birds, no animals, nothing, just dead silence. I whispered, "This place isn't normal." Ahead, in the middle of the forest, a broken ancient tree lay on the ground. As if it had collapsed long ago. Near it, several plants were growing, and they were glowing. I stared at one plant, and a description appeared before my eyes: Ethereal Herb LV. My eyes widened. Ethereal Herb. Below it, the description said, "Your ether cost becomes 0 for 10 seconds. Heartbeat sped up. Because in the hunter world, ether was everything. Ether was fuel. It was what activated skills. And this herb, this was literally a cheat item. I thought, if only I could take its extract back to my world. But I don't have any vibe." Then my eyes moved back toward the broken tree, and I noticed something even stranger. Inside a completely dead tree, a small living branch was sprouting. I muttered, "How is this possible?" It was weird. But looking at that branch, I felt like if I left it alone, it would wither and die. So I decided, fine, I'll help. I walked to a nearby stream, collected water, and poured it near the roots. That was all I did. But the very next moment, a system message appeared in front of me. Flora friendly LV. I froze. I got a skill. Then another message appeared: unknown blessing LV. My breathing stopped. A trait 2. I whispered, "How is this possible? All I did was water a tree. For 5 years I got nothing. And now in a single second I gained both a skill and a trait." I couldn't understand what was happening to me. But then the atmosphere of the forest began to change. I looked ahead. That broken tree slowly started disappearing, and with it, my vision began to blur. I panicked. What is happening? And the next second I was back in my room, sitting on my bed. My heart was pounding wildly. I whispered, "I'm back." So was all of that a dream? I exhaled in relief. What a realistic dream. But then I stopped. I looked at my hands. There was dirt on them. I slowly whispered, "Dirt. So that means that wasn't a dream." At that moment, a faint glow emerged from my hand. I understood immediately. That wasn't imagination. That wasn't sleep. That was reality. And maybe the biggest change in my life had finally begun.